Oh, it's 11. Okay, good morning. Namaste. Yeah. We have a special guest today with us, a guy with a multifaceted talent. I would say author, columnist, screenwriter, television personality, and a motivational speaker. Would you request Chetan to come in? Yeah. I request everybody from Jacquard to give a big round of applause to Chetan. Chetan, you can please take a seat there. As I said, Chetan hails from Delhi. He's been born and brought up here. A lot of people here in the room doesn't need any special, I need special introduction for Chetan. But as far as my global friends from various parts of the world, Chetan did his schooling from Delhi, and he went on to do his engineering and MBA from India's most premier institutes, which is IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad. And they're not only the premier institute in India, but the most recognized globally also. I think after his MBA, he went to US, and as an investment banker, I think he worked for Goldman Sachs. And I think in 2009, when he chose that I think is enough of corporate world, and I want to do something in writing skill. And that's the time he got into his all the skills of an author and writing these great books. And I think Chetan, I have to really confess, 5 Point Someone is the only book which I read in one go without using the dictionary. So I think what sets Chetan very specifically is the content. And I think what he come across as a very a strong message, but in a very simple language. And today, if I'm not wrong, he has more than 12 million followers on Twitter. I would say he's a global Indian. He's making not only India proud, but globally he's known for his work. Right from Mr. Modi to Sonia Gandhi to Rahul, takes his comments very seriously. His columns on leading newspapers in India is very well read. In fact, the one today. In fact, I would love to share, this couple of, this amazing, I would say, achievements by Chetan. Chetan is considered by New York Times as a #1, India's most successful English writer in the history of India. I think we give a big round of applause. Times Magazine has considered him. I know we all know Times Magazine. Times Magazine has considered him as the top 100 influential people in the world. And a lot of these English writers, not only in India, world over envy Chetan because of his following. And typical in India, we a success see of any person going into the Bollywood. How many have seen Three Idiots here? And Chetan, I can say every time Sunday we have nothing to do, just put on Three Idiots. So Chetan has, out of his 5 books, both, I think he writes both fiction and non-fiction. And I think the majority books are now, either films have been made, and directors picking up, the story writers are picking up, talking to him. And I'm really fond of your book, which is Making India Awesome. I think I've never read such a honest, positive story one can think about India. I think truly a global Indian, Chetan Bhagat. Give a big round of applause for Chetan. Chetan, all yours.
Yeah, hi. Okay, how many non-Indian passports here? Whoa, quite a few. Okay, so you have no idea who I am, right? Like, why have they called this guy, right? You will find out. But I'm very, very excited to be here. I think it's a great initiative for the company to call the entire global team here. So, and I don't say it for every event. I don't. I do a lot of events for corporates, for colleges, organizations, but this one got me excited. A, because I like bathrooms, because that's the only way you can stay away from the wife sometimes. And you, sir, you please come meet my in-laws and say the same thing you said about me here, because I don't think they value me as much as you guys are. But you better come there. But for a couple of other reasons, you know, it's a true Indian success story, a very humble brand. Jaguar is not a very showing off kind of brand, but it's a very true Indian success story, which I always want to be. So I think that's where we connect. And I'll tell you this, and something else. You are in a product which is not like, it's bathroom, it's taps and faucets, and it's like simple things like people taking a bath. It's the most basic thing. And I'm in books, which is again a 1,000-year-old product. We are not making apps. We are not doing Snapchat, which I can't figure out how to use, even though my kids try to teach me. We are doing something very basic, and still we are growing, still we have achieved a certain amount of success, and I think that takes a different kind of skill. That's a very different, that you take a category as boring as books and you make it exciting. That you take something like a bathroom and make it exciting. And you know, and then that's a different level of connect, and that's what got me excited to be here. Thank you. You know, so, and the good thing is once you do it, it's always going to remain. People are going to need to use the toilet, hopefully. There'll be no app that you can, you know, outsource it to. You can't Uber a toilet. Maybe one day, actually. Maybe, actually, that's thought, huh? Just check which the toilets are nearby, and actually, that's a good business plan, huh? Right? If you're just walking on the road, you want to use the toilet, okay, 10 rupees. The house next door will let you use it. You know, shower $50. You know, that's $2 billion idea right there. But so as you can see, my business sense is working. A lot of people in the literature industry don't like me because I think like this. I think in terms of business. That's why I like to call myself authorpreneur, which I'm going to talk to you about. If you ask most of your Indian friends around, they will tell you that no other author makes as much noise as he does. That is why we have no choice. We only hear about him. We don't hear about other authors. Tell them to name 5 other Indian authors, they'll take 5-10 minutes. But me, I'm in their face always, right? If you ask literature, what is happening? Why is this moving on its own? Huh? Somebody is moving it.
Yeah, just move to your slide for your books.
Oh, I'll move it. It's okay. I can do it. It's like height of automation. It's like artificial intelligence. It's anticipating which slide I would have liked to tell. I will talk about my books. Wait. So, and you know, they will tell you, literature experts will tell you that Chetan is not the best author. And they are right also, because I'm not the best author. I'm the best-selling author. And there's a difference. And it's okay. In business, it matters to be best-selling. You know, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Because, firstly, who decides who's the best author? How do you judge that? I don't think there's any criteria. And the other thing is, oftentimes in life, you can win, even if you're not the best. Even if you're not a genius. And that's what I'm an example of. Many people come to inspire people because they're the best in their field. You get a Sachin Tendulkar here, he'll be like, wow, what a guy. But deep down, you know you're not him. You don't have that talent. You look at someone like me and you say, if he can make it, maybe I can also make it. Huh? Because I'm not the best. And that is where you can learn more from people like that. And I want to tell you how I've done it, because that's not something I normally share outside. And I understand it's very rare that the management sits down with me before the event and gives me insights on what Jaguar is trying to do, and which is to expand its international presence, and whether it can be done or can it be done to the level that is expected. And I think it can be done. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But like I said, I'm not an expert in toilet fittings yet. I'm an expert in using them, I must say. I do like that shower with the LED lights, right? Does the model come with it?
The model, no.
No.
The model, you don't choose the model.
Yeah, I saw she's got a lipstick on and mascara on and taking a shower, man. I'm like, wow, where do you get that? Anyway, I'm gonna. Yeah, I have a wife, but she doesn't put lipstick on and take a shower. You know? Yeah, no, I'll tell her. I'll say, I want this. And she's taking a shower with like mascara and all. It's nice. Anyway.
We only provide showers. You can take your wife in.
That's right. I know. What you do with them is your choice, right? But what's more,
I'm sure she will she will start liking you.
she will, but it's more likely my mother-in-law will use it. You know? Sorry, I have a little bit of a mother-in-law obsession. I don't know why. But I think every man, this nobody admits, but every man deep down wants the mother-in-law's approval. You want the mother-in-law to look at you and say, yeah, I couldn't have got a better guy than you for my daughter. But that never happens. It never happens. She will look at you, and I'm going to talk to you about that also. Actually, in my case, whatever I might do, I'm from the north, as you know, I'm Punjabi, and my wife is from the south, and for the foreigners out there, that's a very big deal here. You know, I know it's a bit strange, but it is a big deal. And for them, yeah, you're great, but you're not Tamil. You know, and that's something I can't change. So that's always the case. I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm going to talk to you about, you know, it's one thing when the company says, we got to go to $1 billion in 2022. Why? You're sitting there, you have a job in this company, and you're like, why should I go $1 billion? You made up a number, $1 billion. Why not 2? Why not 10? It doesn't come if it's not coming from here, you know. Top-down management is saying it doesn't happen. We've seen it happen at our country also. Some amazing policies have been announced at the top. Is it happening at the bottom? No, because it's not. It's not from here. So it is ultimately about you. Why are these corporate targets important for you? And I want to talk to you about that. Does it make sense to you? Because if the management can keep saying all day long, keep sending those emails and have Jaguar Day and Jaguar Nights, keep offering you free drinks in Hyatt. I heard what happened last night. I'm competing with a hangover today. I know. I was almost going to stay there, but you know, good thing I didn't, because then I would be also sleeping right now. So, you know, I'm going to talk to you about that and how I have looked at my life. The main thing is I've looked at it differently. I went into a category like books, which is full of intellectuals, full of people who think a certain way, and I just thought differently. And therefore, despite not being the best, I was able to make it. And maybe there are some learnings you can draw from that. But before I go that, I go back to the mother-in-law, because I don't know why. One of the first entrepreneurship job I had to do was to connect the two states. I'm from Punjab. Any Tamilians here? Any Tamil Brahmins? It's always one Tamil Brahmin in the first row. Right? They're always there. Which department are you in? Marketing. Wow, that's rare. Normally it's finance. Right? Very rare. But that's good. Are you related to me? Maybe. You can all connect the family tree and all that. So 3% of India is Tamil. I did the research because I had to marry someone from that. And out of that 3%, only 3% are Tamil Brahmins. So it's like rarest of the rare, purest of the pure. Right? You know that, deep down, you know. Yeah, so they are Tamil Brahmins. Now the wife, my girlfriend then, goes and says, I'm going to marry a Punjabi guy. Now, they were like in fear, right? Because they don't know what's going to happen. Whether the kids are going to be humans, or maybe horses come out, maybe cows. Who knows? You know, you never do these experiments, right? So they were freaked out. So she was handling that end. Then my mother in Delhi, right? And she's like, why you have to marry a Tamilian girl? What is wrong with Punjabi girls? Right? As if it's so easy. It's very difficult to woo a girl, finally make her your girlfriend. Now you say, no, why is she that? So I had to convince her. And I thought I'll convince her using science. That why a South Indian or a non-Punjabi girl is better. Any girls who are Punjabi here? There has to be. This is Delhi. One. So please forgive me for next 5 minutes. I don't mean to do this, but I had to for the sake of my future kids. Okay? If you met me, different story, one state maybe, simple. No book, no movie. But so forgive me for that. So I thought I'll use science. I've done an MBA, I'm in engineering. I'm going to use science to convince my mother that why a non-Punjabi girl is better, right? Why Tamil girls are better than Punjabi girls. And now the foreign passports are thinking, who have they called? What is he talking about? Tell us about how to reach 1 billion in 2022. We'll reach, okay? All you have to do is wait for the currency to devalue, it will become 1 billion. So that's one way. Okay, you say it's billion. Okay, let's recalibrate, let's do a different currency. Okay, why Tamil girls are better than Punjabi girls. Can you all read this?
Yeah.
You can, okay. So, my first chart, scientific analysis was this. This is weight. The Punjabi diet is far more dairy rich and more calorific, and the Tamil, so over time this happens. Shopping expenses. I told my mother, Punjabi girls like to shop. If you see number of malls opening in Delhi, more malls than apartments in Gurgaon, for sure. And that's one thing. Books read, I'm an author, so I like. And then Tamilians read a lot. Dance steps known. My wife, she learned Bharatnatyam for 12 years. They keep doing, and they have this Arangetram and all this, right? Even 12 years, she said, I'm not done. In Punjabis, there are 2 steps. I'm not showing them. Okay, there are 4. Did you guys see? Okay. Yeah, there is Bhangra, but nobody learns Bhangra for 20 years, right? 20 minutes, you got it. Yeah, last night you saw some of that, right? Yeah, so and finally mother-in-law argument frequency. 2 hot-blooded Punjabi women in the same house is 2 very hungry tigers in the same cage. So I told my mother, do you really want to deal with this? And then she agreed, and then I finally got married. So this was my first marketing win, you can say. Anyway, coming back to more normal thing. Can we have a little more light here, or maybe turn off these or something?
Okay.
These ones maybe, right?
Front light.
Front lights. Bhaiya, aage wale. Okay, thank you. Yeah, better? Little better, yeah, a little better, right? So, yeah, these also. It remind me of my wedding. How they put a spotlight on you? It's okay, I look a little darker. It's okay. Indians are dark, you gotta deal with it. So, connecting 1 billion. What I do today, it's different from when I started out. And the aim is to connect with as much of the country as possible. You guys also have billion in your tagline. I also have. But for me, the billion is the billion people. I have to reach as many as I can and impact them, influence them. And like I said, I have limited tools, which is my words. And I live in an era where there are, according to some people, much better writers. And what's worse, I live in an era where there's YouTube and Instagram, right? And to kind of fight that and still connect and make words matter is the game I am playing today. Best-selling, I told you, there's a difference, right? God gave me best-selling, not complaining, it's okay. At least I can live well out of the best-selling. This is my pre-writer days. I actually was a banker. I was never meant to be a writer. My first book was written as a hobby, and then it took off. But I was in Goldman Sachs, which is a big charitable organization, as many of you know. Then in Deutsche Bank. House husband is not a bank, okay? This is what I do now, which is the best job. I feel it's better than being the CEO because she leaves. And then it's your house. Unless your mother-in-law comes to stay over, which seems to happen a lot. And then she looks at you and judges you because her daughter has gone to work and you, that Punjabi man who scammed.
I hope you have a photograph of you.
A photograph, now he's really curious. He wants to see my mother-in-law. Next time you call her for a talk, she'll tell you, what kind of speakers are you getting these days? Okay. My goal today is change. It is to first reach maximum number of Indians via entertainment. and then influence them towards a progressive society. It's a simple rule. Other Indians will tell you, how do you say madari in English? So like a street performer, a monkey, juggler, a monkey dance. They people, they do in India, they display. So you know what they do, these guys, they'll have a bunch of monkeys or a bear or even like acrobats, and they'll do some entertainment show for you on the road. And then a crowd collects. And once the crowd collects, at the end he'll send some herbal medicine, some churan he'll sell you. Right? This is the standard trick they use. They first make people collect, and then they start selling. And in the end they say, by the way, if you buy this, you know, every woman in the world will go crazy for you, or some stupid thing they'll say, and then people buy it. Or like your stomach will never get upset, or something. And this is a standard trick. And I do the same. You are listening to me today because of my books, because of my movies, because of Three Idiots. Now I'm not talking about love stories here. Now I'm talking about something more progressive. Same thing I'm trying to do with the country. The youngsters have liked my books, my movies, and now I think they circulated an article that came today. They're also reading those articles because of that connection, which is, otherwise they're not going to listen to me. Otherwise I'm just an old uncle. But because I gave them 2 states, they're listening. So that is a 2-step process I'm trying to do. Different writers write for different things. So this is my strategy is to change the game, and that's how I win. I'll give you something, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but something I think is not often taught in schools. In life, there are winners who win by doing better than others. So let's say there's a Nadal versus Federer tennis match. Now if Nadal has to win, he has to beat Federer that day in tennis. He has to just play better tennis. Simple. He cannot go with a racket 4 times the size and say, I'm changing the game. Buddy, let's play. You can't do that. But in business you can. In business you can change the racket. In business you can do anything. And the second kind of winner comes up, and often there in life, which is winners who change the game. In fact, the stage you guys are at, what you're trying to do, get into a somewhat crowded market space internationally, this is probably going to be your strategy, which is probably going to work better. Is you change the game somehow, so that the other guys who are stuck there, before they move, you've gone in and changed something. People think changing the game is for geniuses. Steve Jobs did it, and like some really big people do it. It can't be learned or practiced, but it can, right? And it comes from something very basic, which Charles Darwin, hundreds of years ago, said about nature. And what teachers don't say in school is, nature doesn't care if you are intelligent or strong. It is not the strongest or the most intelligent that survives. It's the most adaptive that survives in nature. Nobody cares if you came first in class, if you don't change with the times. It's as simple as that, right? I'll give you an example. Millions of years ago, there was a creature called dinosaur, and they were ruling this world. They were trampling trees, and they were the big daddies in town. There was nobody else, right, who could take them on. They could crush everything. And then the ice started melting, and the dinosaurs all died. You don't find them anymore, maybe in movies, but that's it. They're gone, right? There was another creature then, and that creature is somebody we don't respect at all, and that is the cockroach. Cockroaches used to be there same time as dinosaurs. Cockroaches are there today. You'll find them living in the poshest colonies of Gurgaon. I mean the real cockroaches, not figuratively, right? So like nothing implied there. Think about this. Cockroaches, there is an industry. There are companies like Baygon and things like that. They must have headquarters like this. They must have marketing people. They must have finance people. What do they tell their kids when they're going to work? Son, I'm going to kill cockroaches today in this world. Have they been able to? There's an army of multinational organizations trying to kill cockroaches. We've killed all the tigers, but we cannot kill cockroaches. You know why? Because cockroaches adapt. Cockroaches are like, okay, we used to stay in the jungle, but you know, we'll just stay in DLF Magnolias now, it's fine. What's the problem? There's a golf course view. We'll stay there. You know, we used to eat insects and plants. Now we eat Kellogg's. Fine, Dad. Yeah, it's okay. Special K. They don't care. They can live in the car also. They can live, oh, it's cold in Delhi. Yeah, fine. It's hot in Delhi. Yeah, fine. One of the biggest signs that a species is doing well is when they start reproducing, right? So cockroaches reproduce anywhere. It's hot today, honey. So what? Let's do it. It's cold today. Let's do it. You know, I didn't like my dinner. It was just some Tayar Shadam. It was just some curd rice. It's okay. Let's do it. They don't care. We don't respect cockroaches. But this is what nature rewards. This is what says you will never die. You will always survive. You will always thrive. And dinosaurs, bye-bye. My industry, books industry, is full of dinosaurs. Because the moment you write a book, something happens in your head. You think I'm different from others. I'm more intellectual because I could write one page after the other after the other. So somehow you feel superior. You feel people should owe me now. And I should not change. I'm an author, I'm an intellectual. And that's where they die. And then come cockroach writers like me, who will do anything, and I'll show you. So, I told you, strongest don't survive, those who adapt do. Changing the game is just a fancy MBA term, which is just winning by adaptation, right? In my case, in 2004, my first book came out. This was the rules in the publishing industry. People used to get published, like write literary novels, novels that you require a lot of like high vocabulary, tough to read novels. And then they would win a UK prize, like a Booker Prize. And then the news will come in the media here that Indian won a Booker Prize. And then you'd sell. 5,000 copies used to be bestseller. This was the industry. Now, I wrote a book which was about 3 boys in a college, IIT here. And one is sleeping with the professor's daughter. The others are drinking. The third one is smoking up. Now, which jury is going to give a prize to such a book? Right? So, obviously, all publishers rejected it. They said, what is this trash? What have you written? Right? But it was a book about the education system of India. It was a book about what is wrong in the education system. It was just written in a certain fun, relatable kind of way. Right? So, at that time, it was one of the first stories by an Indian written for Indians in English. You know? Now, you don't just adapt for sake of adapting. There has to be stimulus. There has to be something that is changing you have to catch on to. Right? The political wind, as they say. Something has to change. Now, 2004, something was happening. Internet was coming to India. Mobile phones had come to India. People were being forced to learn English. You have to press send. You have to press delete. You have to learn the script a little bit. Now, there were millions of Indians who started learning basic English. They could not read a Salman Rushdie novel, right? But they could understand basic English. How many stories are being written for them? 0. 0. And there are millions of such people. But for the people who hang out in Khan Market and they read Salman Rushdie, lots of books are being written. And how many can they buy, right? So my book, little bit luck also, because I didn't plan the timing like that. It came at that time. So this was the first book which Sir mentioned, and it sold 1.3 million. Now I'm thinking, what the hell happened? Thank you. A long time back. But I'm thinking, what the hell happened here? You know, and the publishing industry is thinking, what the hell happened? They're like, we get 10% of this market, that's good enough. Why are we chasing these Booker Prize winners? And now if you go to an Indian bookstore, you'll find so many local writers because they realize that there's a local reading scene, right? These are my books so far that the slide jumped to very smartly earlier. I've done these. And the next level for me was to scale up further. See, books are read, millions is great, but India is 1 billion. Now, the one thing Indians do, even if they don't read books, is they watch movies. They watch Bollywood. Every movie needs a story. So, most Indian writers in English, you won't catch them speaking Hindi ever. They don't speak Hindi, they don't speak the local language, they'll not be seen near Bollywood. Because for them, Bollywood is song and dance. Bollywood is too lowbrow, you know, basically. I don't know what lowbrow means, but that's what they say. For me, it's the greatest opportunity to reach millions of people and tell them what I want to say. So I started over in Bollywood. And I won't go into details, but being a star already in the literary field or in books, and then to go knock on producer's door, it requires a different level of adaptation. You again have to understand the rules of the game there. These are the films that have come. Most are on my books. You may have seen some of them. And that's how the first step was achieved, which is entertainment of as many people as possible. Now, I told you, my goal was change. It was not, I mean, it is great to be a bestseller. It is great to have movies. It's great to have movies that are hits. But the goal was something else. The goal was change. And for change, I had to again adapt into something which was difficult, because people now associated me with Bollywood and love stories and romance and fun and drama and those things. Now I want to talk about national issues, right? And that meant I had to start writing for papers. I think they've given an article very sweetly today. I started writing for papers. I also switched to Hindi, because you cannot reach India just through English, no matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter. And from here, the articles go in local languages as well. So that's what I tried to do. And once you start doing all that, you get invited to horror shows. Now, you should ask your fellow Indian friends, what is this guy and what is this show? Please don't watch it alone in your hotel room. It's really scary. You'll get nightmares. Look at my face there. I'm so scared. But this changes something. So far, only my name came in print and my stories were known. My face was not. And this suddenly, you are in front of people, and that people start seeing you as somebody who has ideas for the country, who has views on the country, good, bad, agree, don't agree, but you come on the map. I even did a reality show. Why? Because it's one of the most popular shows in India. It's a dance show, and I became a judge. I look like my own son there because of the makeup. Makeup is amazing. And I'm looking so much younger, that applies to some of the other people too, is all I'm trying to say, okay? It's not just me, okay? They understood it a little while. Okay, I do talks like this, and like Sir said, social media came in my time. When I started, there was no Twitter, no Facebook. Now, for a lot of authors, they are like, how can we tweet? We write books. I'm not tweeting. What is this Twitter nonsense? For me, Twitter was the new literature. Because youngsters are on Twitter. They want to know things from Twitter. One article may not have as much impact today, one book may not have as much impact today than a couple of tweets sometimes. Because it's just so fast, and these people have chosen to listen to me. A newspaper article you might miss, or it's being dumped on you. These are people I can reach from my phone right now in seconds. The moment a policy is announced, the moment something the government decides to do, immediately you can create public opinion and reach millions of people like that. So this is what I did. Today, my brand, which I call CB, is not just about books. And that's why people here have heard more of me than other writers. This is the adaptation of the cockroach, which I talk about. Because wherever young people are, I'm going to hit them on all sides. And make sure my thoughts, whether it's my stories, my creativity, or my opinions, they reach them. Books is just one of those ways. Films, print media, stage, social networks, television. This is where youngsters spend their time today. And I am there everywhere. And that's how I am trying to achieve my goal. I think the estimated reach is around 200 million Indians on a regular basis. It's still a big country. And the challenge is, by the time I reach a million more Indians are born. We are very good at that, right? I don't know how. So, but still, we are also like sort of, and Indians are good at adapting, I guess, and they thrive everywhere in that way. So, the big question is, does it work? Because I told you the game is changing India. Yes, you can measure box office numbers, you can measure bestseller list numbers. The bigger thing I ask myself is all this drama I'm doing, does it have any impact or not? Or am I just like fooling myself that I'm doing this and society is reacting, or does it make any difference, And you can't measure it so clearly, but there are some anecdotal evidence. So in 2013, again in the middle of all this Twitter going on. There was a different government at that time, and there's an opinion poll saying they're going to lose the next election, which was correct, but at that time, the government said, let's ban opinion polls, because they didn't like what they were saying. So I said, ban opinion polls, better ban opinions, or best just ban polls only. Why are you banning opinion polls, right? Just let's end the story. It was a fun tweet. It was not meant to be anything. Next day, this guy, who was the candidate, the PM candidate for the other side then, now he's of course the big man, he wrote a blog and he embedded my tweet in it. He wrote a blog about this tweet. Now, firstly, I was like, oh, okay. Because I was busy doing romantic stories. And I was like, okay, this guy's listening to me. You know, it seems to matter to him. And so the people who will control the levers of our economy or our country, I'm starting to reach them. The size, the scale has become enough that I'm reaching them. So he did a blog on this. Then I met him, he met me. I have one more claim to fame in my life. I taught him how to take a selfie. The first selfie. It is not a very good selfie. I have become better at selfies. That time the cameras were also not good in phones. So you should never take a selfie from bottom, because you look double chin and all comes and not good. I'm just being frank. You do like this. You look thinner, the higher it is, the more thin you look. Do you know makeup sales all over the world are booming? You know why? Because the phone cameras have become really good. And youngsters are posting Insta all the time. So they don't want their picture to look, then oh my God, she has a pimple. You know, so they're doing makeup, even not just for parties, but for regular days, because a selfie can be taken any time. So all these Sephora, all these makeup brands are like having a boom, by the way. So it's amazing how one can lead to the other. But we didn't do any makeup here, clearly. And this is what I think. And he went a little crazy with the selfies after that, because he just learned it. And a few days later, there were elections. And he got into trouble for this selfie. Do you remember? Yeah. Because he's not supposed to have that symbol while the elections are going on, something like that. But then he became the prime minister and like, whatever. The issue comes, now he's taking selfies with me, everything. But when I feel the government is not doing the right things, what do? Because is the aim of my life to be buddies with the PM? Or is the aim of my life to change the country for something better? It's hard, you can imagine. It's scary. But then 1 or 2 years later, the government was just, they were not doing any major reforms as was being promised. So I wrote articles saying, bang the table for reforms, they have to break the status. Even today's article, if you notice, I talk about things that really need to change. This is a broken bus. We keep talking about my driver, your driver, this party. You can't change the driver and hope a broken bus can be fixed. So it became hard, because once I was seen as close to him, then people thought I'm his guy, but I'm not his guy. I belong to my country, and the aim is to take things better for my country, right? So a lot of like hardline right-wingers get attracted to Prime Minister Modi because of the right-wing nature of the party. And they abuse a lot of women on Twitter, right? So I wrote an article saying a lot of these guys, the Modi Bhakts as we call them, are sexually frustrated men. Because if you can read the tweets, and they kind of seem like that. So what starts happening is the press starts writing articles like this, that I have said this. It's not just my column, it becomes a news. And that's difficult, because then it's suddenly like, okay, what are you trying to do? But that's how I feel you must do your job to create that change, to make you have an impact, but at the same time you keep saying the right thing. Another anecdotal evidence is Meghnad Desai. I don't know him, and some interview I read of his, and he said, he was asked what is happening in India today, and he said this is the Chetan Bhagat generation, which is seeking change, which is again to be associated with a generation and to be associated with the word change is what I've ever wanted to do. I want to come back to you guys. This was great. I told you my story. Very nice. The bigger issue is what my mother tells me, and which applies to you too. My mother says, why the hell are you doing all this? You can hang out with Alia Bhatt, no? And make movies. Not that Alia Bhatt wants to hang out with me, but my mother thinks, why? Who wouldn't want to hang out with my son? Okay. But she's like, you make movies, you hang out with the Bollywood people, do the parties, do the premieres, have a good life. What is the need now? You do your talks, fine. Needling in this politics, dangerous games, why? Why are you doing it? Right? Why don't you just chill? Now, you have so many books. The books earn royalty. It'll come every month. I don't have to worry. So, why are you doing all this? Same applies to you. Why you should go to $1 billion? Because unless that question is really answered, just because my boss said so, that's not very motivating, right? You have to figure out, why is this important? Why am I doing this, right? And I'll tell you why. And here we get back to the individual level. I meet a lot of people, right? Given the nature of my job, I meet tons of people, and you guys are the classic example of like corporate executives, 30s, 40s, 50s some, but mainly in that range. I'm 43 now, classic middle age, over the hill almost, as they say. And we are all, and I've been there, trust me, I've been in banks. It's not like I just came into the entertainment industry. I've sat in these conferences, I've been hungover, we've been passing headache tablets to each other during the talks. I've done that, okay? And I know some of you are doing that right now. It's good, okay? That means you had fun, great. Okay, so I know how it feels, and I meet people, and there are 3 different categories. One is people who just exist, and they're a lot of my batchmates, right? They've done engineering, MBA. I meet them and they exist. Then there are people who are fading, and then there are people who are alive. And most probably you are one of them. Now, I am going to tell you more about each category. Exist is the large majority of people. 60-70% people, when they have a corporate job and they're in the 30s, 40s, they are existing. They're neither happy nor sad, which is a problem. Because if you're actually sad, you do something about it. But I ask my friends, how are you doing? It's okay. How's life going on? What's happening? Nothing. Friends, kids' birthday next week. We'll go. Then we go to holiday in 2 months. Not feeling anything going on. These guys how bank balance has gone up a little bit. The car has improved maybe in 5 years. It's like, when you stand on an escalator in an airport, it takes you up, but you don't feel anything. And this is the waiting on escalator guys. Life is just passing by. You ask them, in India there is a word, only in India you have that word, settled. You see a matrimonial ad in India, it'll say they want a well-settled boy. Well-settled. Not only settled, well-settled. I don't know, what's the difference? You know what settled is? If you remember school, there was a sedimentation experiment. Whatever falls and sticks to the soil, that's called settled. Settled. Don't move. Risk averse. Zero risk. How do you grow? How do you make 1 billion targets when the aim of life is to be well settled? That's the Indian goal. How do you do it, right? If that's the thing, well settled. And also these people say, we're well settled. We are settled now. I'm in my 40s. I'm well settled. I don't have the energy now. It's for young guys to do it. Have you seen our politicians? Average age 125. Right? Have you seen the energy they have on TV when they're fighting? They're screaming each other's guts out, man. How? It's not an age thing. If I tell you that Deepika Padukone has also come today and she's outside, you will all run out. I know my importance, right? I know. I don't compete with Deepika. Okay? Where did the energy come from? It's not energy. It's motivation. And please learn to know the difference in that in life. If you're not feeling motivated in life, don't say it's energy. Energy can be there at any age. I know 80-year-olds who are motivated to do things. So it's got nothing to do with that. It's just this thing, settled. Don't have to do anything. Indians have these terms. She got married to that house. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to lift a finger. Have you heard that word in Hindi? Ungli bhi nahi uthani padti. Of course, touch screen phones weren't there then when they made that phrase. Because now you have to touch the phone. So you don't have to lift a finger apart from using your iPhone. You know what a miserable life that is? You know what a boring, stupid life that is? That if you don't have to do anything, how can that be the goal of life? You won't feel anything, right? How many of you here can paint? 2 out of 100, 4, 5? 5 says 8 people, say 5 people out of 100, 120 people. I asked this, I have twin boys. When they were 4 years old, I went to their school. I asked this question to the entire class. How many of you can paint? What do you think happened? Everyone, yes. Me. What happened to you guys? If you were 4-year-old, you would have all raised your hands. Now it's like, yeah, fine. Because at some age, your mind must have told you, you suck at this. Don't ever raise your hand when the word paint is mentioned. Maybe we're just talking about painting a wall. I didn't say make Mona Lisa here. But we don't. But children do. We are all born that way. We are all born with a spark. You give a child a little balloon, they'll start jumping. You give them an ice cream, they start jumping. You give it to a grown-up man, they say, ice cream. What flavor? It'll make me fat. Yeah. I'm not supposed to have it. It's so hard to feel that excitement which you used to feel so early. Even in college, we feel it. College, you had no money. Still sitting, having chai on the road with your friends. You actually felt amazing. When you're in 40s, now it's just a job, yeah. You know, that's the exist. And you, if you are gotten into that and you think this is now life, then that's not right. I have myself been in that rut, and then I decided to make a change. And I'm telling you, you don't have to feel that way because you're 45 or 55 or age is irrelevant. It's how you feel, right? Fading is the next category, because if you stay in exist too long, you will ultimately get to fading. These are the super negative people you know in life. You know, people who you ask, how is life? Same old, yeah. What stupid Gurgaon or Gurugram, whatever you call it now. How is the food? Horrible. You saw a movie last weekend, how was it? What movies they're making today, yeah? What job? Same Jacqua, yeah. What's this, yeah? Something, yeah. Nothing. Bitterness is coming out. It's just they can't hold it anymore. They are like people, you put them in a lift and say, press this, you'll go up. I'm not pressing it. Yeah, what's the point? You don't want to get there. That's a very bad stage. And then it's like, you know, what the hell is happening, you know? And then you have people who are alive. We all have that one aunt who's 60s, 70s, she will come home and she'll say, today I'm going to make pakoras for everyone. She is just excited about something. Something is there looking for, oh, you know, she's getting married. My neighbor is getting married. Their daughter-in-law is so beautiful, I better buy clothes for her wedding. It's something is keeping them going. And they're not faking it. They are just feeling that. They look forward to life. They feel that same spark that kids feel. And they've carried it. And it's not like they're super ambitious and hungry and dissatisfied. They have contentment, but they have something to look forward to. And that's what is to it. For these are people who will, okay, the lift is not working, I'll take the steps. You know, steps are not working, okay, I'll go like this, I'll climb the wall. It's okay, whatever. I must keep going somewhere. And that's something we need to be. If you're not, then it's not. So the big question is, why does this happen? Why 3 categories? Why some people make it? Why some don't? And this is what my theory is. It's just illustrative. So the graph is not to scale. But I'm trying to tell you what happens when you get a new challenge in life. The moment you are thrown a new challenge in life, which matters to you, you will feel alive. You feel super alive. And then over time, without anyone's fault, it's just the human condition, it becomes existing. And then it becomes fading. It happened to me. First time my book came out, my God, I was crazy. Second time, third time, fourth time, it's not that great. I had to do something else. So, you know, I'm not feeling the same thing on the 6th book's release as I did on the first book. The first time you got a job in Jaguar, so excited, telling your mom, dental benefits. Do you know if I have a toothache, I can go to a dentist? So excited. 7 years later, same Jaguar, yeah. What is you asking me about my job all the time, right? Why? Same person, because it's natural, it's okay, right? Now, the question is, how do you stay alive? How do you feel that way, right? It is not something only corporate, it happens to movie stars. Why do you think so many movie stars take drugs? Or rock stars, they've died. Why? Because they want to feel that same high which they felt when they started out or when they had their first few successes, and then they keep on doing it, movies, and they're not feeling, you know. So they feel like, I need to get some high, and that's the wrong way, because they think that drugs is the answer. Here's how I do it. I simply add more challenges in life, right? Because then, before one becomes existing, you add another one, and you stay in that zone. You stay in that alive zone. So in that way, it's great that you are in a company which is not a post office. It's a company that really at least wants to do it. It wants to try this international thing. It wants to get there, and that's great because you have something in your job which is different from 3 years ago. If you had the same thing, yeah, it's fine, people come, they pay their bill, go away. That's a dull life. But this creates a certain challenge. This creates that excitement so that you don't feel miserable. Because that's a sure recipe of disaster if you don't have challenges. Now, all challenges don't have to be career challenges. It can be a fitness challenge, it can be a relationship challenge, it can be learning something challenge, it can be a golf lessons challenge, I don't care. But if you have nothing to look forward to, please add something to look forward to. Because if you don't, it's only going to get more miserable. You know, I want to talk about maintaining number one. In India, you're clear number one, and I know the focus here is international, and we can do some Q&A on that. But here's how I have tried to do as a writer. First is you have to lead the industry. You have to do something which others haven't done. Whether it's moving books to Bollywood, whether it's going into the space of... I've not followed what other people have done. I feel a writer can do all this. And now many other writers are trying to replicating the same models. They all follow me on Twitter. They know what I'm up to. It's not that difficult. They do it. Broaden view of competition. For me, the competition is not other writers. For me, the competition is WhatsApp and Candy Crush. Because that's what youngsters are doing. And I have to pull them, give them content such that they leave that and come to me. How does it matter other writers? If the WhatsApp is a far bigger challenge for me. Same for you guys, right? Why would someone spend more on a bathroom fitting? It's not about this brand or that brand. If you are a leader, you have to say you deserve this in life. Rather than buying a new sari for 20,000 bucks that you'll wear once, get a nice shower so that you feel good every morning. It's a different view of looking at competition than just looking at, you know, oh, but that brand and this brand. That's not how the game is played. You have to reinvent. In today's times, people are getting bored very fast. The new generation is constantly opening and closing videos, closing apps. They are bored. It's a bit sad, actually, because my kids don't know of a time where there was no internet. And we were actually, I don't know if I was born in this time, if I would have the imagination to write stories, because it's a little scary. But for brands, especially us, we are in old categories. Bathroom, books. Not something exciting is not happening every day in that. We have to thrill. We have to excite. We have to surprise all the time. Because our category by itself is not tech. We're not in tech, you know. And passion and intent shows. I don't know how, but the consumer gets it, that this brand is passionate. I don't know how that happens, but people know. And consumers, customers, readers, audience, users, they reward that. Because they want to be around passionate people. They want to be around passionate brands. I don't know. It always happens. In my case, I'm about change, but it applies to organizations too, to senior leadership too. I've been working on change in a country like India for many years, and here's what I've learned. I used to be super angry in my 20s. I wanted India to be just turned upside down and change everything. Doesn't happen. If I tell him, you move there, he's not going to move. If I tell him, can you move 2 inches this way? Can you move 2 inches this way? I want to see that. He'll move. You nudge people to change. People don't change if you shove it. You have to nudge it. And humility. You know, we've talked about success and everybody talks, tell us success, success, success. Success breeds arrogance. It's the biggest speed breaker of success. I think it's God's way of making sure that you don't get unchecked success. If you keep humility, which I think your brand has kept, it will always keep growing. Success will always keep growing. I was talking to your senior management today, and while it's not connected to my talk, but I feel like I have always embraced my Indian roots. I've embraced the fact that I speak in Hindi. I've embraced the fact that I do Bollywood. That helps. It always helps. People are attracted to people who are comfortable in what they are. And that should not be ever kept aside. And of course, you will learn more. I end by saying nothing else but, you know, when we look within ourselves, there is so much we can do to improve ourselves. You know, I can be fitter. I can be, be better at calling back and staying in touch with my friends. There's so many things. We all look at each other. We find things in us that we can improve. Now, we love gossiping. We love talking about others. But I always tell people this: be so busy in life improving yourself that you have no time left to criticize other people. You know, that's, if you're doing that, then you're going to rise, you're going to progress. You know, thank you so much for listening to me, all these various thoughts. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we have a big round of applause for Chetan, please?
Thank you.
Can I have a standing ovation for
You don't have to. Please, please, please.
We have Chetan for some more time, and he has taken a request. We can do a chit chat with Chetan. Your whole, I think the way you talked about adaptivity, and I think this is something which I think any corporate has to really imbibe that, because that's the you know, and definitely the way you approach. If I just map it, you know, your whole career, you know, in the morning, in fact, we were talking about how you can break down the situation into big task into small. Which is like, and the same Djokovic example, you don't have to be a champion, you don't have to be a genius always to be successful in life. You can be a simple person and still you can make it. I would now throw open this discussion now. Is anybody would be interested to have any queries or want to know? Yeah, sure.
Chetan, good afternoon.
Hi.
My name is Rama. I just wanted to I would like to know a little bit about your previous age. Like, you were never an author. You started your career, you were an engineer, then you became a banker.
So you're saying, how come you're still 43?
Then you turned to be an author. Now, how was your initial days, the challenges that you faced? What were the thoughts that were going in your mind?
Yeah.
Could you please tell me?
So, you know, I was that middle class Delhi boy who parents in government service, and they said that if you get into IIT, life will be amazing. And then I went into IIT and I found it not like I found it had issues. And then said, if you don't do an MBA, you are nothing in life. So that, okay, I'll do an MBA. Okay, if you get a job in investment bank, that's like the ultimate job. I said, okay, I'll do that. And I did all that, and I was making a lot of money, and I was living in Hong Kong. That job was in Hong Kong, and it was nice, and a lot of my batchmates were there, and nice, you know, you're having a good lifestyle. But I felt something was missing. I felt that I'm not as excited and happy as, say, when I was with my buddies in college having tea on the road. Now, I honestly had to acknowledge that feeling. A lot of people cover it up by saying, but I'm having great single malt today, and I couldn't afford it then. I used to have Old Monk. But I was happier having Old Monk. And I realized, okay, this is who I am. And I used to write a lot of plays in college. I used to write. It was my passion. But I never thought it will become anything. And I said, you know what, I better do it. I remember I had a very bad boss also, thankfully. Because I was due for promotion, and it was a 10% raise, okay? It wasn't like so much. But he didn't, because he didn't like me, or I don't know what happened. And I just got really like upset. I felt it was really unfair. He did it to other people. So I did a strategy called LBDN. Look busy, do nothing. which is I will not recommend. This is not part of my talk.
Everybody is getting a raise here.
Great. Chalo. Sir has announced one on my behalf, so thank you. So I thought I'll write. I just wrote, and that's how 5 Point Someone was born. Again, no idea this is a career, no idea this is going to go anywhere, and that's how I wrote it. And sometimes you need that kick, you know. You need to because if he had promoted me, maybe I would have also settled. Maybe I would have also said, okay, this is it now. A lot of my friends I saw, they were basketball captains in college, and now they join a bank and they never play basketball again, you know. And I think, how can they do this? They used to love this, they used to live for this in college, they used to talk only about this, and now it's gone. Just why? Because making some dollars or whatever. And it was hard. My in-laws, really, they were very nervous when I said I'm quitting, because they really thought it's a scam. Because I'm a Punjabi boy who took their qualified daughter with the sole aim of quitting his job and chilling at home. Because they don't, my mother-in-law, you're sitting at home, wife has gone to work, you're sitting in your shorts having tea with your mother-in-law, and she looks at you, what are you going to do today? Like, I'm going to think of what I want to write. I'm just going to think, you know. Think? Is that even a job? You just think, and you know, like you're at home, and your wife comes, and what did you do? I did Asia Pacific strategy meet today. What did you do? Oh, you know, the flush wasn't working, I got it repaired. The maids are telling me, you're at home, you know everything, which maid is having affair with which driver. Like, so it's hard to adjust to that. It's hard, there's a stigma, you know, when a guy leaves his job. And there was a fear. The fear, you know, was very strange. The fear is, we all have this fear of an imaginary party. There's no such party that ever happens. That you'll go to a party and all your peers, your batchmates, your things, they will all be having a better life than you. They'll have a 4-bedroom apartment and they'll have a BMW and you will not have. And I calculated it and I said, okay, there is in that party I will say, I don't have a 4-bedroom apartment, I have a 2-bedroom apartment, but I am trying to live my dream, which is to be a writer. Or I'll say I killed my dream so that I could have this 4-bedroom apartment. And I said, I'm not going to trade my life for 900 square feet. I mean, it's not going to be that way. That's the decision I took. It may not have worked out. When I left, my income dropped. Like now, of course, it's okay. But at that time, there was an income drop of 95%. So it was stupid. Like, according to some people, it was stupid that you are right now, young people are reading you, they'll move on to something else tomorrow, and you're paid your dues as an analyst in a bank, and now finally you're getting a executive director and everything, and you're leaving it. So, but you know, that's my sort of thought process.
Chetan, I think, you know, I think this whole word of fine, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, I think this, some of the question, you know, internally we had a discussion when Rajesh ji came with this thought that we want to be a global player.
Yeah.
You are an Indian player, #1, and this still the penetration is still just 10-15%. You can still be in India and probably double your numbers. But what is the need to go? So somewhere I feel that, you know, you have to be always alive. I think that's
I think there is a need. I think there is Jaguar is a very interesting place right now. It's big, but it's still got that family feel to it, which is very rare, you know. And it's going to get harder and harder. You're talking about $1 billion, but what you're not talking about is how to manage that $1 billion, which is that once it becomes so big, right now I can still feel in this room, everybody kind of knows everybody. Maybe it's last night's drinks, but you know, whatever. But it still fits in this size. Your team is, it may not one day, and which is great in a way, but it also is an issue, how to maintain that. Now, that international thing is important because it's the ultimate test of quality, right? It's not a fluke that you're doing well in India, or it's not a fluke that you're in India because you were around. You can make it there. And once you do that, it's highly motivating for the team. You will feel that you can conquer anything after that because you have conquered those markets. Second is, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen, like you can't just enter. Third is, I was discussing that you have to embrace your Indian roots. Some of your collection has to be Indian. Some of the collection has to show that, yeah, this is Indian inspired. The rest is international. It has to be better it has to be a better product than the other guy. It has to have better technology, better thing. And I think it's beyond the product also sometimes. It's the service, it's the replacement, it's whatever it is. All that will only happen if every person here feels that we need to do this. This is what we came here for. It's already a rich company. It's already making money. What difference did you make in your career here? Is that you took one Indian brand and took it abroad. We were discussing this. We have a big responsibility. We are the visible Indian brands. You know, we mess it up. The whole country looks bad because there's not enough data points right now. If one Japanese company messes up, we will still believe made in Japan is good. But if one Indian company messes up, people will say, see, I told you, yeah. Indian, Nirav Modi. I told you. They're all crooks. You know, he's done huge damage to the jewelry industry. It's not just him, and it's not just the money in PNB and whatever else, that's bad. But because there was, I always used to think, why India is so good at jewelry, why we don't have our own Tiffany's. And then Nirav Modi came along, and he had a big store in Hong Kong. I used to live there, and my God, it's beautiful. And I was like, wow, 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 he's finally done it. And I thought I'm not surprised because India is good at jewelry. And we cut diamonds for the world or whatever. And then he turns out to do this. So we have to be super responsible. We are not doing it for just Jaguar or just Chetan Bhagat. We are doing it for a country. If tomorrow says, you know what, I bought Jaguar fittings and they're from India and they're amazing, and because of that people will buy other, imagine the impact you're having, you know. And that's the thing, we have to do it. It doesn't mean, like we discussed, that everything Indian is amazing. We have a lot of problems and we tend to accept mediocrity as a culture. We say it's okay, you know, we've seen it's okay, water is coming now, so what if it's leaking? I mean, so what? That's a very different approach. No, it's not okay, you know, and that fanatical obsession with quality has to be there. And I think it's doable. Like I said, you already have done it here. It's not like the consumer here is not choosy. It's not like the consumer here is easy to fool. They will shop for the biggest rupee. If you've been so successful here, it can happen. But the family culture, you know, make sure it remains. With growth, now sometimes you're so obsessed with the percentages and quarter on quarter that family culture goes away. And that culture should never go away. Because if you want to maintain quality, that personal touch has to be there.
Anyone from the, yeah?
Good.
Now you got the success, now all your books are good, right? Now what would be your second option if in case those success was not there, like, books were total failure after you quit your job?
I took a working wife, no. Plan B. There was a strategic thinking. No, I mean, why not? But at the end of the day, if they didn't, I would have maybe gone back to banking or joined one of the startups, internet startups or something like that I could have done. But, and I had some savings and I had taken a house and, it was something I would have figured out.
It was well settled.
Yeah, I would have gone back to settled maybe, but at least I would have said I tried, If you don't try and you live with the feeling, see there are two bad feelings on the deathbed. Both are bad. One is, I never tried. And the other is, I tried and I failed. Which is the less worse for you? Every person is different. And be true to that and live your life to that, I think.
Fauzi, you want to ask something?
See, I truly believe that the great things always cannot come from the comfort zone. So you have to try and do and build them. We have a very huge task here. Let's reconnect you with our strategy to launch Jaguar as a premium product in the whole world, the whole globe. We are doing something very hard. As a successful man in the...
Fauzi, I would say very challenging.
Yeah, challenging.
Yeah, not hard. Very challenging.
Very challenging, yes. Sometimes you may do one lecture, okay, it could be ranked 10 of 10. Some lecture, maybe there is no good, So if you do something and you didn't get the right, what you expect, how can you motivate yourself?
Yeah, it will happen. I can tell you, I can guarantee you it will happen. Right? Not like, for example, my last movie, Half Girlfriend, my previous movies were such big hits that the expectation was this will be a monster hit. It wasn't. Various reasons. It disappointed me. It broke my heart really, because we had worked very hard on it. It made money, but that wasn't what it was about. It didn't give me that what I wanted out of it. It took me a long time to get back. It came out in May last year. I just went away from films for 6 months. I was just so heartbroken. I was like, what did I do wrong? Even though it was not my fault. I don't make the movie, but I took the team. I made the key decisions, and it's now taken me time to come back and truly say what have I learned. You know, you have to have that attitude. Either we win or we learn. You know, we don't lose.
Also, you know,
we win, we learn. You know, you will make mistakes. It will not be right, and it's not easy, you know, to do this. But I can tell you, my gut feel is saying it can be done, because the other brands have become too complacent, and you will win by adapting better than others, not by saying I'm better than, like, look at this tab, that tab. No, you will do something which is the customer needs, and those guys will be caught sleeping. That's how you will win this. And I think you just have to realize that it's okay. You know, you learn something and you move on, and you never lose sight of the goal. But motivation is a tricky one. In general also, you know, when you take a bath, next day you need another one. You feel very fresh today, next day you need another one. You attend a motivation lecture, you feel good. Tomorrow you get stuck in a traffic jam at the toll naka, all the motivation goes to hell. You have to refresh. You have to, maybe whatever it is, you see a motivation video, read motivation books, talk to your team, talk to like what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong. I'll tell you one really interesting observation I had about this company. I can actually get the vibe. When I was in the meeting today with some people, everybody was talking. In fact, they were talking over each other because so many ideas were coming about the company. That shows a good culture. If a culture is only the top guys talking and everyone is looking down like this, and it happens many places, I can tell they will not make it. But here people can still talk. People can still say that we are screwing up here. You will know beforehand. And once you have that culture, you will know that it's okay, we screwed up, but we know we screwed up. You know, I know we did something wrong in Half Girlfriend. I will not repeat it again next time. So that's the only thing. You have to make sure that culture remains, that people are not scared to say that we are screwing up. That will be the worst. To screw up and not even, nobody tells you, you know. So, yeah.
Mohit? Yeah. Sorry.
You want to add to that?
Yeah.
No, not about screwing up, by the way. So my question, Chetan, is that now you've become a name to reckon with in India. Do you have any plans to take you globally?
Yes.
To a global audience?
So last week I was at the Emirates Lit Fest, and you know, I had people who came in that Emirati dress to get my books signed. I thought it'll be like Indians in Dubai who reads my books, and I had some people from like Africa, like, you know, Kenya and all. They're coming. They attend the literature festival and they're coming to get my books signed. And I was like, how do you know this? And they say, we read your book on Kindle, you know. And I was like, that's amazing. So I'm partnering up with Amazon on the next level, which is to grow there. I'm partnering up. I actually believe Bollywood is amazing, but that's a separate lecture. I believe Bollywood's time is done. There will be Bollywood, but not as big as it was. That they were the ultimate in entertainment in India, gone. Digital entertainment like Netflix, Amazon Prime, some of the other Hotstar, all these, this is the future. And this can take you global, which Bollywood needs distribution. Bollywood, you don't get screens in US, right? You only get those 100 theaters which screen Indian movies. But in Netflix, there is no such thing. You come up with content that, like a Narcos. I don't know if you've seen Narcos on Netflix. Anybody seen Narcos? It's in Spanish. The whole show, 30 episodes I've seen. I didn't miss the language. So there is that growth. I don't limit myself to just paper, which is books. Why? I'm telling stories. They can be told orally or paper or screen. And B, find distribution platforms. My issue was coming with distribution. Wherever my content goes, people like it. Three Idiots was a huge hit in China. The books have done well in Korea because the same education system issues are there. But distribution was proving to be a problem. Now, with these new technologies like Kindle, like Netflix, I'm very excited about what could happen in the next 5 years. So for me, that will be the focus.
Because I think your personality, the free-flowing personality that you displayed here, it feeds into a cycle.
I'm at the same stage what you guys are. I was having so much fun in India, and there was so much growth in India that you're like, why should I go out? Plus, my goal was to create change in India. But now I feel that it's easily, like, it's not easy, but and I'm not saying I'm going to be as big abroad as I'm in India. But the market is so big that you get that 20% also, it's a big bump, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, RAG.
In this company, therefore, the leadership is who thinks out of the box. But we get a lot of people, we are expanding very fast, so we have to take people. And we try to take people the best possible. But still I find that people think that their way is the only way. And what leadership says, think out of the box, or this is something different, and then connecting with it is very difficult. How to change this mindset of the people that your way is not only the way, there can be other way. Think about it. And yesterday we talked about paradigm shift from paradigm paralysis to paradigm pioneer, and changing with the environment cockroach story, which you have added up. In fact, you continued that discussion today, what we had done yesterday. But still, I think we have a global audience here. So how to do that they should think different. They can do different. We have a lot of sales and marketing people sitting over here. Most of the people would think of price as discount, give discount, you sell.
That's the easiest way.
Or product should be very, very beautiful, whereas people need solution to the customer.
People need solutions, yeah.
Could be an origin. So I think what RAG is trying to say is that, any message for my global team members who want who want to really make it big industry.
Like I said, you're at that 500 million mark, which is no longer a small company and still not mega huge. One of the things I learned, Goldman Sachs, and at that time when I joined, it was a private company. Now it's listed, but that is just a partnership. And very strong focus on culture. I had 27 interviews to get that job. Some of them were totally like, I don't know, even the secretary will interview you, everybody interviews you. Because they like to build that consensus, they like to believe there's no star system. They try to create that while we will encourage ideas, we will not create a star system. It's a great initiative to get everybody here. Its roots are in a manufacturing company here. It's not a service, it's not a human resource kind of company originally. So the focus on culture is not there. You have to make sure that any guy who comes in or girl who comes in is trained in the culture of the company, and there are some people dedicated to the culture. What are we? Being Indian is a lot of things. Being Indians is mediocrity. Being Indians can be a hungry aspiration to be the best. It can be anything, and it's not only about being Indian, right? Some of it is nothing to do with India. It's what you are, who you are, and is every employee knowing that this is not just a job, this is a mission, and you've come here and you have to follow this culture. This is encouraged here, this is not encouraged here. We encourage ideas, we encourage dissent, we encourage, and you have to be true. If you encourage people to try different things, you have to empower them also. You can't say, why the hell did you do this, right? So that culture, the senior managers sit together, and I know it sounds very touchy-feely, and I used to be, because being an engineer, from mechanical engineer, you feel, what is this nonsense culture? Well, just make good products and sell them, and what is this people sit around do all day talking about culture? But it's very important. It's the culture which generates, how people behave, and I think that culture ministry has to come in, and those guys should train everybody who walks into the door that this is our way, not like authoritarian, but you do this, you will win, you will be rewarded. You do this, we are not these people. And that's there in every family, every company, every organization has a culture, Some things are encouraged, some are not. So just focus on that for the coming years, because with growth comes this responsibility.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
I think...
yes, sir.
Yeah.
In a world wherein media trial happens before a judgment is pronounced, how suffocated do you feel to speak your mind out?
It's very difficult. What is happening is, see, there is so much content around there, and now you are getting direct social media from the Prime Minister is tweeting what he wants to say. What is the media doing, right? They're not reporting something which is so new anymore, right? You get the news from other places also. Secondly, all advertising revenues have moved to Facebook and Google. All. Like, Google has 100 billion revenue per year. Facebook has another, Facebook has another so much. It's more than all media outlets in the world combined, the advertising they're getting. Because as a marketer, you want to go to there's something so focused about those advertising that a newspaper ad or a magazine ad means nothing. No, the media is desperate. They have literally become desperate to keep their relevance, and they will print lies. Officially, they'll print lies. So
that's why I asked you, how suffocated do you feel to speak your mind out?
I think it is suffocating, but at the same time, I also feel it's an opportunity for people like me, because people don't trust the media anymore. They will trust me more than the leading newspaper journalist tomorrow. I'll say, because they know that I am not making money out of giving my opinions. I make my money from my books, from my movies, from other things. When I talk of national issues, that's not my bread and butter. So there's an opportunity also, but it's very sad how desperate the media has become. And it's sad because media is needed. You need an honest media. Otherwise, politicians will do anything. So the whole model, the business model only needs to change. People will need to start paying for news. You know, that whole thing of advertising will come and the newspaper will be almost free. That will go away.
How do you handle the opinionated tweets? I mean, tweeting can also be equally...
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of fabrication, there's a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
So the best way is to keep quiet, then nobody says anything. But that's the life, that's a life rule, no? If you want to never be criticized, never stick your neck out.
I think with the paucity of time, probably there's the last 3 questions we can take. Mr. Malhotra, yeah.
Chetan, I have a question. This is very, very particular to the organization where you have a large number.
You can use the mic so we can all hear.
Okay, a little louder.
Louder, yeah.
A typical phenomenon in organization is internal competition rather than internal coordination. So how do you address and how do you make this change from an internal competition to a more of an environment of coordination?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it has to be very clear that again and again that thing needs to be emphasized that this is one team, and that needs to be done from the top. That, yes, we want you to be competitive, we want you to go hungry, go fight there, but it's one team. It's the same thing happens at the country level also, no? We forget that Congress is also India and BJP is also India. They're both trying to improve India only, but they fight like cats and dogs. And I think these are signs. When so much friction starts happening, it can be very damaging to the company. It happens in banks so much. Everybody's trying to poach the same client. You don't go to him, you don't go to me. And then I stopped trusting. And I think that's something, like I said, as you are growing, the top management's efforts will be more on culture and managing all this, rather than whether the design looks good. That other people can do. But the really top focus now is to make sure how do we become big in size without losing this personal touch, without creating these internal frictions, without becoming an organization that went out of control. So that's and the way is to people to ask, is that happening? Do you feel that you are being undercut? And I think to realize the importance of that. So yes, sir.
Hi. Actually, I didn't know you. So before I got inside, I asked, they said to me, you are an author for romantic movies. But actually, we discovered that you have the gift being
comedy.
So why you are not writing the comedy?
No, I write comedy, but it's like romantic comedies only, you can call it. But yeah, my dream is to be stand-up comic one day. But it's very scary. I might do it. But I don't want it to be a profession. My writing was my hobby, and now it's become a job. So it takes away something. When it's a job then. And I want to do comedy. I do want to do it, but I don't want it to be my job. I want to do it for fun. I want to introduce comics and things like that. So India, is still evolving in terms of sense of humor. Sometimes people get very touchy here. So I pushed the limit, but we are still not understood humor. Very quickly, and especially famous people, they get into trouble very fast if they are being funny. They're like, no, that's not funny. You offended us. So it's so that's a little bit of that happening also. That's why I don't totally lose control. So, but meet me after a few drinks and then.
Great, I think. Yeah. I think great. I think Chetan. I think what I clearly see is a couple of takeaways. I think one is about being adaptive. I think that's something a clear message for a global team and even the team in India. I think you have to act the way market is. You can't have a same stroke for every folk.
Yes.
I think this culture thing, in fact, I would like to add here, Jaguar, we actually believe that we are large, one big family. And the way I see the promoters, the way they interact with the team at every level is very heartening. In fact, without naming, the person who's recently joined, who knows me very well, and he said, are you open with your management? So is it okay? Is it go to that level? But it's come so easily. And I think this is where we have learned. I think, and third thing is the believing in India's story. And there's somewhere, I think, the team which is going out and conquering the various parts of the world, which is Africa, Europe, and Middle East, is that, which is stay to the roots. Today, 12 million people. I would say, I think PM is about 40 million. So, if the Prime Minister, which is #1 probably in the world, I think after Obama's and all, this guy gets about 12 million followers on the Twitter. So is basically he kept to his roots, believe in yourself, which is in our case could be, believing in India's story, our own quality, and when you're going to the global, don't shy away from that. And then definitely you have to be adaptive. I think some of these, I think, and anyway, I think keep things simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing you can carry away from here is that yesterday we were talking to our 50-60 people who are there from abroad, and they're proud of made in India these products.
Yeah.
And they were so glad about that, and they have committed yesterday and every day, in fact, before that. But yesterday we talked about this, and they said that Indian products, particularly Jaguar products, are the best maybe in the world.
Yeah.
And yesterday, you'll be glad to know that there were 3 here, Jaguar Jindabad. And yesterday in the night, after taking drinks, it was Jaguar Jindabad.
Oh,
yeah. They're on global scene already, big way.
Yeah. No, the products are good, right? That's it. You're not hoodwinking the customer. It's fundamentally the products are good. So you deserve it. As simple as that. When you go to sleep at night thinking that I'm selling a good proposition to the customer, I'm not fooling them. That is a different confidence, I'm giving them value. That ultimately will flow through. It cannot be kept behind. And like I said, the other guys will get complacent. They will not be as hungry. One of the things is to be hungry, like I worry that about my kids. I was so hungry growing up that I wanted to do it. My kids now are like, they are not that hungry. Their daddy's there, So that's it's a big, and that's in India, like that's what's happening. Like the big city kids are all growing up to flat screen TVs. They have grown up to that. But it's the small towns, that's where the hunger comes, and you can't fight. You can't fight if you are hungry. It's very hard. So stay hungry and believe in the products. That's it.
I think let's give a standing ovation.
No, it's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chetan. Thank you.
Thank you.
A clap from a global Indian
Thank you.
company to a global.
It means a lot, and I thank Jaguar for not only introducing me to your India team, but so many international people, we connected today. It really is very heartening. Who would have thought in Manesar I'll find? This is like the heartland countryside. And to meet so many, it's like a United Nations here. So it's great.
Thanks, Chetan.
Thank you. Thank you.